Welcome to Moments to Live By. Today's lesson is from Matthew 16:21 through 28. St. Matthew says, "From that time on, after Peter confessed that Jesus was the Messiah, Jesus began to show his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and undergo great suffering at the hands of the elders and the chief priests and the scribes, and be killed. And on the third day he will be raised. And Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him, saying, 'God forbid it, Lord, this must never happen to you.' But he turned and said to Peter, 'Get behind me, Satan. You are a stumbling block to me, for you are setting your mind not on things of divine nature, but on human things.' Then Jesus told his disciples, 'If anyone wants to become my followers, let them deny themselves, take up their cross, and follow me. For those who want to save their life will lose it, and those who lose their life for my sake will find it. For what will it profit them if they gain the whole world but forfeit their life? Or what will they give in return for their life? For the Son of Man is come with his angels in the glory of his Father, and then he will repay everyone for what he has been done. Truly I tell you, there are some standing here who will not taste death before they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom.'" There was an 85-year-old man who was an average Joe, and so we'll call him Joe. And his much younger wife we'll call Brianna. And she was the health nut, in the family, and always feeding the poor guy veggies, and she was always making him exercise. To her friends, she'd brag about how healthy Joe was for his age. But then tragedy struck when the car they were in drove off the Tallahassee Bridge, and Joe and Brianna were drowned. And as soon as they both reached the gates of heaven, St. Peter took them to their new mansion. It was awesome. It was fully decked with brand new kitchen, incredible view of earth, and nice jacuzzi, the works. Joe asked, "What was all this going to cost?" And St. Peter laughed, and he said, oh no, this is heaven. Everything is absolutely free." Joe said, "Very nice. So what's there to do around here?" he said. Well, in an instant, St. Peter and the new couple were standing on the most beautiful golf course Joe had ever seen. St. Peter explained that Joe could get golf whenever he pleased, and since it was heaven, all the green fees were paid by God. Next they went into the clubhouse, and Joe saw a huge 24-foot long buffet table, piled high with free food, prime ribs, prime rib lobster, and baked potatoes, and just loaded with cheese and bacon. And then the dessert table, it was filled with all kinds of chocolate cream pies. And Joe just glanced at his disapproving health nut wife and asked timidly, "Where are the low-fat and low-cholesterol tables?" St. Peter laughed again and said, "You're in heaven now, Joe. You can eat as much as you want, whenever you want, and you'll never get fat, and you'll never get sick." That did it. Poor Joe, he just lost it. And his wife had never seen him so angry, and he threw down his hat and he yelled, "Brianna, this is all your fault. If it hadn't been for those blasted broccolis and those vitamins and your homemade bran muffins, I could have been here 20 years ago." Well, we can laugh, but under that little joke is a big truth. The truth is that if we are a follower of Jesus, a Christian, we should be looking forward to heaven. Death is nothing to be afraid of. Keep your eye on eternity. That's my topic for this day. Keep your eye on eternity. One of the most truly difficult things for a modern day Christian is in the present is to maintain a balance between living in the present and keeping a focus on the ultimate, namely the final victory of resurrection unto life eternal, eternity. We don't give much thought to life with God in heaven forever. We live in a world with such tremendous focus on the importance of the moment, the now, the blatant uncertainty of the future that Christians are threatened to lose sight of the goal. But it's the ultimate goal of our lives that gives a stabilizing effect to the present. Without it, we not only flounder in the present, but ultimately lose the end goal too. And so this lesson from St. Matthew would provide tremendous help for us if we don't want to miss the ultimate goal of our lives, nor bypass the present either. Indeed, no matter what we might be faced with between now and then, we can make it through and receive the goal of life, eternal resurrected living with God. So the good news for today is, in a sentence, as I've said, keep your eye on eternity. Can you catch the drama of the occasion? It's just a pivotal point in the life of the disciples as they were being equipped to be the founders of a whole new people in the world, namely Christians. And day after day they had been with their Lord, learning by listening and watching and so catching the life of God which they were to reflect to the world. But they had a problem. It seems that though they were envisioning a utopia, a life with Jesus where all their needs were met and free of problems. After all, hadn't he been with them to feed them and feed the hungry? Also provide for 5,000 extras. Wasn't he able to heal any one of their diseases and sicknesses? What security they must have envisioned for themselves. Thought this would never end. Spiritually, they felt so next to God. Doubts, struggles, guilt, even emptiness was gone. And their life was fulfilled. The Christ walked into their midst. Could anything be better? So their eyes focused on the now, the moment of the day. It was good. Oh, let's not think of anything beyond now, they must have thought to themselves. Have you ever been in such a situation as that? Have things been going so well that you don't want even to think about anything beyond the present moment? Things are too good right now. Suffering, death, business reversals, loss of friends, that must be blanked out from the mind, if possible. Once there was a freshman in college who said, "Oh, Pastor, we don't want to talk about death or loss at our meeting. I don't even want to think about it. Things are going too good right now." Right now. Peter's problem became so similar. He was caught up in the bliss of a smooth life. And for Jesus to mention that the future held any suffering that was to come and death was more than Peter wanted to face. "Oh no, Lord, don't think that," he says. "No, God forbid it. This won't happen to you." For Peter, anything other than the joys of the moment had to be avoided. When things are going well for us, like Peter, the present moment is all important. Still, there may be an entirely different problem in your life. Maybe your life is everything but a utopia. Perhaps you are so caught up in the sickness or trauma in your life that you can see no end to it. Are you overwhelmed with grief or loss? Has a child or some other person perhaps brought you to the verge of a mental breakdown? Is your family life crumbling before you, filled with problems? Whatever it is. If you're alone, single, widowed, married, divorced, young, aged, feeling ignored, any of that, possibly even out of your own group of friends, not feeling so secure. Whatever the struggle is you're feeling, you can see a brighter day. A brighter day can come. You can figure out how in the world anything good can come out of it all. You wonder, though. You just wonder and wonder and wonder. And if you fit here, perhaps you are close to Peter. For another possibility here with Peter in our text from Matthew is that he got so caught up in the first words of Jesus about having to suffer many things and be killed that it's doubtful he even heard Jesus say anything about the ultimate end of it all would be a rising up on the third day, a resurrection. Peter's vision was blocked. He could not see beyond today or into a tomorrow. He could not see the ultimate end, the glory awaiting Jesus, because the immediate was so important to him. The thought of suffering stopped him. The mention of death just overwhelmed him. And it left him without any hope, you see. So he denied the possibility. He denied anything but death. Well, he did not keep his eyes on eternity. But you know, there is hope. There is hope after all. You know that you can find, go through confirmation, Sunday school, all of those things, and you can say, Lord, Lord, all of your days, but if there is no action to you, trying to get to know Jesus, to find out that it's okay to follow Jesus, then you are somewhat lost. It is said that the man who was for years the distinguished chaplain at Duke University once asked his mother, who had not missed a communion service in over 60 years, Mother, he said, why do you commune all the time? And she said, Jesus asked his friends not to forget him. I am one of his friends. I will never forget him. Jesus, knowing that his disciple Judas would betray him, Jesus, knowing that another disciple, Peter, would deny him, that he ever knew him, Jesus, knowing that the whole church was going to walk out on him in his deepest hour of need, knowing all of that, he blessed them. He gave them his body and his blood, and he died on a cross. You know, there was a couple who learned this so well. Their first child died in the arms of the father on the way home from the hospital when 3 days old. The second child, born with the same disease, made it home, and little Alan was growing for 4 months, and then 2 weeks later, the child suddenly went limp in the father's arms, and despite the best care possible, died in the hospital 3 days later. In what condition would the parents be if their focus was only on the moment, only on the pain that they knew now? But this young couple, you see, had been taught by their Lord to keep their eye on eternity, and so their focus then was to grieve and cry at the death of this child, but then freed them up about a week later to, with friends, get together and give away some baby things and store some other things away for the day when they will adopt a child. They knew where their little Alan was. They knew where they were, and they knew where they were going. It's that kind of living, friends, that Jesus, after all of us in this gospel text today, says, soften your hardened hearts, believe in me, and look for eternity. Look for the peace that you can have in the life to come. Heaven is a prepared place for a prepared people. Are you prepared? May God bless your life today and every day and all the way into eternity.